Body shot. Ooh, that hurt, didn't it?
When the adrenaline starts pumping and you know what you can do with this right hand, it's hard to not do that.
Here are your hosts, Derick G and AJ.
UFC is back. Sean Strickland versus Jack Hermansson. This is going to be a big-time middleweight contest that we have here. Two middle-of-the-pack in the top 10 fighters that are looking to break into that top 5 definitively. Will we have the next challenger for Israel Adesanya after Robert Whittaker? I don't know. We'll see, but a lot of heavy implications this week. We also have the return of Shavkat Rakhmonov, undefeated welterweight. I've been telling you guys about this this prospect, I guess you can call him, soon to be contender for quite some time. Real dark horse in the 170-pound division. Listen, we got a lot to talk about, but first let me bring in my co-host, the New Mexico native, the Santa Fe bomber himself, AJ. Brother, you riding a high, my man. We back at it. You got a nice, shiny 10-5 record. I'm still trying to clean mine up, you know what I'm saying? We're still working it. We have 6 main card bouts that we're going to be breaking down today that will definitely determine this weekend, where we're at in the standings, you know what I'm saying? Can I get back? Can I cut down on that lead? I don't know. Anticipation, brother, anticipation. How you living?
Man, I'm doing well, brother. Derek, this is the week to do it, man. With 6 fights, there's a lot of ones that they can go one way or the other. This is going to be a very fun fight week for us. Yeah. And man, I'm doing well, brother. It's over here snowing in Austin, Texas. Everybody's freaking out, man. It's like the second pandemic. Everybody's at the store throwing in toilet paper and water like a madman. But we chilling out here, man. I'm doing good. How you living, brother?
I'm living good, brother. It's cold and windy out here in Nevada, but I'll tell you what, it's better than having some snow. You know what I'm saying? Having people going crazy over the toilet paper, having no meat in the meat section. But I don't know, it's Texas. I don't think you could run out of meat out there, man. What do you think?
No, we did, bro. I went to the store the other day. The chicken was gone. The apples were taken, man. There was literally nothing left but like a little bit of drumsticks and jalapeno poppers, man. It was wild.
That's how you know they took the apples. The apples is gone. Oh, my Lord. All right, brother. But, hey, listen, man, stay warm, stay safe. You know what time it is. We here. We're going to warm it up because it's the Bloody Water Podcast. You dig? So, folks, while we are in the intro, I do want to give you a reminder. Drop a like, subscribe, all the good stuff. You know what I mean? We're at 335 subscribers, so slowly but surely creeping up on the YouTube channel, Free Thinkers Club or Bloody Water Podcast. Type either one of those into YouTube and you will find us. Or you can head over to bloodywaterpodcast.com and, get your fix, get your scoop, get your merch, the whole 9. Do I need to say the whole entire spiel? Maybe not, but I'll do it anyways. Go get your merch. 10% off using code BWP10 at checkout, folks. AJ, brother, as I mentioned before, we have a lot of fun fights basically overall this weekend, man. But like I said, there's heavy implications for a couple of bouts. The Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Carlston Harris. If there's anybody that can be a dark horse in the welterweight division who's not named Shavkat Rakhmonov, it's Carlston Harris, brother, fighting out of Guam. This is a very, very talented fighter, man. I cannot wait to kind of break that down a little bit later. In other news, right, let me just go solo for a second. Brandon Allen, all in Allen, man. This is a dude who, doesn't need a lot of time to get ready. Stay ready so you don't got to get ready. That is the saying that we love here on this program. On 4 days' notice, he steps in to face on smiling Sam Alvey in replacement of Phil Hawes, who was replacing Ian Heinisch. So basically, Sam Alvey has had a tough run of luck having a lot of opponent switches. But he did say something interesting, AJ, and I wanted to get your opinion on this. He says, listen, brother, this is Sam Alvey I'm talking about. He says, for the UFC, I'll fight Francis Ngannou if they need me to. I really hope they don't need me to, but I do it. I'll go fight in a gas station, if parking lot, whatever the case may be. This is the reason why Sam Alvey is still sticking around in the promotion, isn't it, man? Game, anytime, anywhere. I believe even though he's on a rough skid, I think a 6-fight losing streak, I mean, he's willing to get it. You know what I'm saying? He's as game as they come. Would you agree with me? And do you think that is why he's still in the promotion?
Man, as game as he come, 100%, man. There's nothing more game than somebody who's sitting there willing to fight anybody, anytime, anywhere, and smiling the whole time, excited to be in there. I 100% think that this is why Sam Alvey's still, even on a 6-fight skid, he's still in the promotion, man. He's a company man. There's nothing better than when you're able to scratch the boss's back and he goes, yeah, I'll throw you a couple bones here, man. It's all good. I think that's why Sam Alvey, he's in the company. He's a longtime favorite, and he's a favorite of mine, man. It makes a very entertaining fighter.
I mean, you cannot be a fan of the UFC specifically. Of course, you can be a fan of MMA, but you can't be a fan of the UFC unless you are a fan of Smiling Sam Alvey. Like I said, man, he does the haircut with the smiley face on the back of his head and all that, man. You got to love it, man. Fun fights this week include Jason Witt versus Philip Rowe. So we got Glory MMA facing off against the Fresh Prince, man. Fresh Prince got a little bit of grappling chops too, man. So grappler-wrestler matchup should be fun. AJ, Julija Stoliarenko is making her return against Alexis Davis, a real OG. in the women's bantamweight division. Now, this is going to be interesting because both of these ranked on Tapology are about 16, 17. So this is like fighting for getting into the cusp of the top 15, which we have talked about over time. The flyweight, the strawweights, the bantamweights for the women's divisions are a little shallow, right? You got a solid top 15, but 16 through 20, 16 through 25, it gets a little bit murky, my man. But I really wanted to ask you about the return of Hakeem Dawodu. Mean Hakeem, man. He's facing off against Mike Trizano, former tough winner or tough contestant, whatever the case may be, coming off of a win. What do you think about Hakeem Dawodu in the men's featherweight division, my man? He's a minus 190 favorite. Mike Trizano got good hands, got some wrestling chops on him, the whole entire nine. But Hakeem Dawodu is 12-2-1. He's had a couple, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to say he hasn't dropped the ball whatsoever necessarily, but it's like we're going up and then we're just stalling. Going up, just stalling just a little bit, you know what I mean? What do you think of this matchup?
Man, that's a good way to put it, because that's exactly what Hakeem Dawodu he fights, man. He's very, very mean. He had a couple, so he's gone on like a 5-fight win streak, and then he ran into Movsar Evloev. But still, like, I agree with you. Doesn't really drop the ball, just kind of hits that plateau. Big fighter, looks big for 145. Dude is absolutely massive, very powerful, very fast, and just very scrappy of a fighter, man. I'm excited for this one, especially because against Mike Trizano, I think both fighters are going to be able to bring it towards each other. When we have one who's, willing to push the pace against another one who's doing the exact same thing like Mike Trizano, it's going to be a very entertaining fight going forward. And Mike, he's no one to trifle with, man. Especially the fight against Ludwig Klein, very entertaining, very fast paced, man. It's going to be a very fun fight to watch. I'm excited to see Hakeem Dawodu back in the cage, man. I always like to see a good pressure fighter with strong power going in there. It's going to be a lot of fun. What you think?
First off, I think that you don't mess with a man with a mean mullet like Mike Trizano. That's first and foremost, right? However, mean Hakeem, listen, he gets the job done. I did want to ask you, though, really quickly, brother, because I think that I agree with, the majority of what you said. But when we're talking about Hakeem Dawodu's record, man, in that 5-fight win streak that he went on, 3 of those wins were via split decision. So I just wanted to ask you, because you can definitely be looked at as a different fighter if those were flipped, right? You know what I mean? You go from a 5-fight win streak to being 2-3 in those last 5. So when you're getting the job done by split decision, what does that tell you as a fighter? That's his most recent win against Zubaira Tukhugov was a split decision win. What does that tell you? You need to go for the kill a little bit more. It's kind of like Jorge Masvidal, who was losing a bunch of split decisions. Then he had that revelation, was like, no, I got to go knock people out. Do you think Hakeem Dawodu is trying to focus on being a finisher now? Do you think that's something that he's going to bring to the table against Mike Trizano? Or are we back to our split decision ways? What do you think?
Man, well, it's hard because you need to get the wins. You can't be having the split decisions that closely. But what I think, not necessarily go for the finishes, because if you're going for a finish, you're never going to win the decision. So if you really need to, what I think Hakeem Dawodu needs to do is fight his style, man. Really make it his fight. Have one of those nights we always talk about, Derick, where it's like it wasn't the other opponent's night. It was Hakeem's night. He fought his kind of style of fight. Whatever he decides to be, because he can get the finishes, man. He's had a head kick finish. He does a lot of decision fights. A very, very calculated, very long fighter. He's down to have a long scrap, but he does have some finishes, knees, punches. He has a lot of finishes, not a lot in the UFC. Only a couple he's lost. Oh, what is it? Yeah, he's lost one and then won one that were early. Other than that, everything else is decision. But I think the biggest thing for him, man, he needs to get in that flow state, fight his kind of style of fight, and not really worry about the X's and O's so much, about only his X's and O's. Not worry about how it's all going to unfold, not stress about it, not be that split decision fighter, because you're right. You drop a couple of those, man, and then you're headed to the losers bracket. It's a rough one.
Yeah, no, absolutely. This is going to be a really fun matchup, though, and let's shed a little bit of light on Mike Trizano, too, man, because this isn't all about Hakeem Dawodu, right? When we're looking at it for Mike Trizano, man, so he won the Ultimate Fighter 27 back in 2018, split decision win, since we're still talking about those, right? Got a win in his UFC debut, I guess you want to call it, because, it's weird how they'll do the tough fights and make them some exhibitions. The finale is a regular one. I don't know. It's weird. But Luis Pena, he got a win over him. Split decision once again. And then loses to Grant Dawson versus rear naked choke. And then gets the win against Ludwig Klein 2 years later. So this is a dude who has not been very active in the grand scheme of things. But I do think that he has a new life to his career right now. And sometimes that's what you need, man. You need less wear and tear on the body, less miles on the body. And a fresh body is nothing to complain about, man. So should be a fun matchup. Another fun matchup. matchup is the featured prelim, brother Miles John versus John Castaneda. And if you remember John Castaneda, this is an individual who in his last fight, I was actually just watching this the other day, and I don't know why I'm blanking on it now, man, but he was basically getting beat up for the majority. Oh, he fought Eddie Wineland, OG veteran, former, I think, WEC champion or whatever the case may be. Eddie Wineland, he's putting it on him, bro. Right hand, left hand, you know what I mean? Getting them hooks on him. And John Castaneda, he's standing back. He's having to move a lot of backwards movement, you know what I mean? Staying away from the pressure of Wineland. And then he just cracks Wineland with one right on the chin, freezes Wineland, hits him with like 6 more, brother, unanswered, finishes the show, closes the show. It was a beautiful thing to see, but it was one of those things where I was like, okay, I think you're a featured prelim here because you have the potential to make this an absolute banger. I mean, John Castaneda is a dog, but when you're fighting a man like Miles Johns, who can wrestle with the best of them, who can strike with the best of them, I think that you got to go full pressure, 100%, ready to go. Bring the action, brother. You don't always have the time that you necessarily need to feel out the fight to be a slow starter. Sometimes you got to bring it from point A to point B, from start to finish. And I think it's just going to be a tough one for a John Castaneda against Miles Johns. John Castaneda is also a plus 180 underdog. So I just wanted to ask you overall, brother, sometimes people get put in these spots for specific reasons, right? When we're talking about matchmaking, we're talking about more than just matching people up. We're talking about the placement on the docket of fights. What do you say? We say it all the time, brother, but I need the words from you. You want to be what? The highest on the card, fighting the lowest ranked opponent, making the most money, right? Does that sound about accurate?
Exactly, man. You want to be the highest placement possible, fighting the worst, easiest opponent for the highest paycheck, and that's Uncle Chill's rule, man. That's the way, from one of the greatest out there to do it. And I think this fight right here is great for both John Castaneda and Miles Johns, because with an opponent like Miles Johns, man, there's no starting slow. This dude's bringing the heat consistently, going for your head, has so many overhand rights. And by the way, folks, check out that mug, man. That looks good over there. Derick got again all the records. It's a little fuzzy, but yeah. There we go. Look at that. All right.
Anyway, sorry, folks.
Either way, man. Quick little shameless plug for the merch. Get your merch, folks.
That's right.
But with a fighter like Miles Johns, man, very impressive, very fast. Let me see how many finishes he actually has. 6 finishes. He's also tied by decision, so he can get it done both ways. But he's a very fast starter, very, very powerful. And with Castaneda, if he goes into the same fight like he did against Eddie Wineland, where he lets Miles Johns kind of get that advantage, it's going to be a hard road to toll going up, man. Although on the same side, man, John Castaneda, I like the fact that he took that little bit of time off, especially even from the Eddie Wineland fight. He's kind of finding his groove, man. Some fighters, they're in there where they're consistently, fighting 6, 7, 8 times, a year. We have Kevin Holland, for example, or you have the other fighters who just fight once, twice, kind of like a Holly Holm, where she really gets the techniques down and really studies her people. Same thing with John Castaneda. I like the fact that he's taking this time off to be able to recoup the body, get the game plan going, come into feeling right to fight night. It's going to be a very fun fight going forward. What do you think, Derick?
I agree with you, man. I think that the nickname of John Castaneda is an interesting one. Sexy Mexi. He's out here to get it, brother. But I do think that this one should probably be in favor of Miles Johns. That's who I'm favoriting here. That's who I have as a favorite here. I just think Miles Johns is such a talented prospect. And this is kind of a showcase bout. This is one of those fights that I talk about all the time where it's like, we're going to give you this opponent, and I want you to put on a show. This is a featured prelim for a reason. It goes political sometimes. It's even bigger than the fight. It's just like, all right, we need you to set up this main card really nicely. Nice matchup, has the potential for a knockout, has the potential for a submission win, but I do think this is going to be a grinded out, either a grinded out fight or a knockout fight. We'll see either way. But, brother, we talked about a couple of those prelims as a more or less prelim pour over, but I think it's time to talk about our sleepers, the ones that really count here. You want some fights on the prelims, folks, that really matter? Well, tune in. Let's go.
It's time for some fight night.
If you ain't paying attention, you're gonna sleep on me and I'm gonna wake you up.
All right, AJ, got a little bit of a surprise here, man. New graphics on the sleepers. We had no graphics for the sleepers before, but let's start off with yours, my man. We got a flyweight sleeper, number 23 ranked Malcolm Gordon versus the non-ranked Denys Bondar. Now, this is an individual who we've been looking forward to fighting or to watch fight for quite some time in Denys Bondar, right? I believe the last time you broke him down as a sleeper or I broke him down, either one, his fight got scrapped. He's yet to make his UFC debut, but we are here. And he's fighting against a man who I think it's simple to say this one, AJ. He fought for his job in his last fight. He got the job done, but he fought like a madman. He fought like a bat out of hell, brother. I don't know. He fought like a spider monkey jumping on it, man. I'm all jacked up on Mountain Dew, you know, all that, the whole nine. He fought like that, and he got the win. Malcolm Gordon, very impressive prospect in the flyweight division. Had a tough time getting it together, but let's see how he faces against Denys Bondar. AJ, talk to me. Why is this your sleeper? What stood out to you here? What made you say, out of all of the fun fights on the prelims, this is the one that people need to tune into? Talk to me, brother.
Man, you're right, Derick. There's a lot of fun fights on the prelim, and I wanted to show a little love to the flyweights because this is a very middleweight heavy event throughout the entire time, whether it's the prelims or the main cards. There's a lot of big boys fighting on this card, so we're in for a lot of fun, man. But I'm excited for this flyweight bout because both dudes are very fast, very talented. I'm expecting a dogfight here, Derick, man. Gordon, you hit the nail on the head right there, man. He fought like his job was on the line, like his family's food was being taken away from him, and that's exactly what I'm expecting for this fight too, man. Gordon is crazy, bro. He's very fast, packs a lot of power in that very small frame, very talented on the ground as well as in the strikes. This dude kind of has it all, but he's been in a rough streak. Has dropped his first 2 losses to the UFC, first 2 fights he lost in the UFC, came back, like you said, fought like his job was on the line because it was, man. If he lost that third one, you know he was getting kicked. So I'm expecting him to still have that same kind of tenacity, man. Still provide that same pace, that same pressure. Gordon's a very fun fighter to watch, especially because they're a little smaller, you know, so they have that style of fight, which makes it very, very entertaining to watch. Bondar, this dude's nickname is Psycho because he is literally fights that exact way, man. Doesn't matter how, when, whatever the case may be, whether it's on the ground, in the clinch, striking, this dude is coming for your head. He's going to be a very entertaining fighter to watch. He reminds me a lot of Petr Yan. Very stiff, not necessarily. I've been trying to find the right adjective to use because stiff isn't a good word, man. He's very mobile, but he'll pop you, man. He's very, very sharp in there, very strong, mean in the striking. But Bondar is very skilled on the ground too, man. So wherever this fight goes, it's going to be a very interesting way to see it pan out. Like I said, man, whether this is a technical striking battle or a technical grappling match, it's going to be fun to watch. But I'm really expecting a dogfight in these two because I think both fighters leading off the prelims, they need to make a big impact. And it goes back to what we were saying with having the featured prelim as one of those fights. It's going to be one of the that sets it up. I think this exact thing, they do the same thing with the first fight of the night. They set that first fight to be a dog fight, so that way the rest of the card kind of has that same kind of energy going in. And I'm really expecting this one to be a lot of fun, man. What you think, Derick? Are we going to see a technical fight, or are we going to see a dog scrap right here?
Well, first, let me just say, I think that comparison that you use, stiff, right? Maybe you were looking for like tight, sharp, right? You know what I mean? Tight, mobile, you know what I'm saying? Because that's how Petr Yan is. However, to answer the question that you just gave me right there, I think that this could be a little bit of a mixture of both. On the feet, I think that Bondar is more technically sound than a Malcolm Gordon, who tends to wing his shots a little bit more, get a little crazy, reckless, wild entries, lots of shots. On the ground, this is going to be a mixture of a dogfight and a technical scrap because both of these dudes, I mean, let's just look at it, AJ. Let's take a look at Denys Bondar first because this is a dude who has a ton of finishes, right? In his last fight, rear naked choke, arm bar, win by punches, arm triangle choke, punches, knee, rear naked choke, arm triangle choke. It just goes down the list. Rear naked choke, arm bar, rear naked choke, punches, arm bar. Like, it goes down the list, right? However, if you think that Malcolm Gordon is any different, brother, besides these last 2 finish losses, rear naked choke, arm bar, Kimura, punches, Kimura, knockout, brother, this is like their skill set is more or less the same. Once again, though, I do think Bondar holds the advantage on the feet, but on the ground, this is going to be 2 dogs going at it, 2 pit bulls, brother. And this is actually like the logo of the gym that I train at, Carlston Gracie. That's literally what it is. It's 2 pit bulls with, you know, blood foaming out of their mouths, fighting against, you know, pit bull fighting, OG, you know what I'm saying, brawling. I think this is how, if you can have a brawl on the ground, this is what that fight is going to be, in my opinion, bro. This is going to be such a fun fight, and I do agree with you. This is why they kicked off the event with this fight. Give it the energy. Get the people going, man. You know what I'm saying? Come on, brother. It's provocative. Nobody knows what it means, but listen, let's get the people going on this one. Should be a fun fight. They need to, after this fight, put some respect on Bondar's name and get the man a headshot. Please, come on. What are we talking about here? ESPN, please. What are we saying? All right, brother, but that is a fun sleeper, and I got another fun sleeper, AJ, and I need to shine a little bit of love because I got a middleweight. You said this is a heavy middleweight contest. I got a middleweight that is a local prospect out here in Las Vegas, brother, and I wanted to just shine a little light for a second. So from time to time, folks, I talk to you guys about, the little bit of training that I do, the little jiu-jitsu. We don't even really need to bring that into the context. But what was cool about this matchup, number 80 ranked Chidi Njokuani. Sorry about the, mess up on that. The man's nickname is Chidi Bang Bang for a reason, brother. He trains out of a gym called One Kick Gym. This is right here in Las Vegas. In One Kick Gym, which is a Muay Thai gym, inside of One Kick, there is another Carlston Gracie Jiu-Jitsu affiliate, which is Carlston Gracie Las Vegas. And because the people at my team train at Carlston Gracie Henderson, we can also train at Carlston Gracie Las Vegas for free. And it's pretty awesome because it's right there at One Kick. Chidi, he trains here at One Kick. He is now in the UFC. He's had a Bellator success. He's had some regional MMA success, but it's literally a Muay Thai gym with Jiu-Jitsu all kind of wrapped in one, which I think is pretty awesome. And for him being the local kind of standout guy out here, obviously Las Vegas is filled with fighters, brother. So it's like, what does that mean to be local? But I'm just saying that because fighting out of a tiny gym like One Kick, making the waves that the man is making, fighting power bar, Marc-Andre Barriult. I mean, brother, this is a step up in competition, absolutely. But I gotta say it, if anybody is ready to do it, it's the man fighting out of One Kick's gym, Chidi Njokuani, man. So listen, folks, minus 105 for Njokuani, minus 115 for Barriult. AJ, Marc-Andre Barriult is an OG. This man had a rough start to his UFC career, but he's been turning it around, getting some dubs on the board. But I just wanted to ask, do you know anything about Chidi Njokuani? Have you seen anything about him? Have you heard anything about him? Do you know anything whatsoever?
Not until you put it in the Slack as your sleeper, and then I actually started doing some research, Derick. But before that, not at all, man. I didn't even watch his Contender Series fight, which it was a good one, even though he got kneed twice in the groin. Yeah. Man, still a good fight, and he came out and finished it one, man. And you're right, Derick. This dude, if I didn't even know where he trained at, to be honest with you. So the fact that he's coming out of a small gym like that and making the waves that he is, very, very impressive.
Absolutely. So this is a man who has a heavy kick game. He's a Muay Thai fighter, right? Heavy kick game. Great body work, great spectacular body work. His hands are more of ancillary tools when it comes down to that Muay Thai kick game, because in Muay Thai, your kicks score more points than punches do. That's just the name of the sport right there, folks. He has very nice wrestling too, believe it or not. Like I said, you got the jiu-jitsu right there. He doesn't train at Carlston Gracie. He trains at another jiu-jitsu school, but he's a black belt in Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Underrated clinch game, underrated takedown defense, which he's going to need against Marc-Andre Barriult. But the thing that stands out to me is the speed, the length, the accuracy, the precision of the kicks wherever he wants to put them, brother. It reminds me a lot of a fighter we're going to be talking about a little bit later, like Tresean Gore, where the man's calf kicks are just lightning quick. He mixes it up to the head, to the body, it doesn't matter. Knees to the bread basket, you know what I'm saying? Putting it on him, man. Very long, lanky at 6'3", 80-inch reach. AJ, brother. Marc-Andre Barriult is 6'1" with a 74-inch reach. The man has a 6-inch reach advantage. You're hitting this dude from the other side of the cage, brother. This is what I'm talking about. So Barriult's going to have to close distance. You're a Muay Thai fighter who loves to kick. What better matchup do you have than there? Folks, I just wanted to show a little bit of love because Chidi Njokuani is a man who I've actually heard about since before I moved to Vegas. I come out here to Vegas and still making moves, doing his thing, handling business, man. You got to shed light on the people who are making it happen locally, and I just love to see it right here. So this is going to be a sleeper, though, through and through, because once again, you got the striker who's got the wrestling chops, who's got the grappling chops that nobody really talks about, versus the Marc-Andre Barriult, who is going to walk you down, smash your face in with the big bombs, and try to wrestle you up a little bit. Now, my question to you, AJ, is who do you like in terms of David versus Goliath? Because that's what I think this matchup is. Marc-Andre Barriult fighting out of Sanford MMA, literally the new super camp in Florida, versus the tiny gym, One Kick's gym, Chidi Njokuani, Chidi Bang Bang, brother. Shout out to Bad Boys. You know what I'm saying? What do you think?
Man, I like the comparison because it really does lead to that. And on paper, you would think that Chidi Bang Bang and Njokuani is a little bit undermatched, a little bit, gonna be the David in this fight against Goliath. But man, I actually favor Njokuani in this one, man. He's very, very talented. And I agree with you, Derick. The thing I like most about him is his kicks. Yeah. Very snappy front kick, calf kick, head kick, wherever you want to go. This dude sets it up very nice and leads his opponents into the kick where he sets them up very, very nicely. Although at the same point, man, you have Marc-Andre Barriult, who you're right, he's going to walk you down, he's going to smash your face, he's going to work the ground game. But if Njokuani can actually surprise Barriult and get him on the ground, flip something around, because we saw in Njokuani's Contender Series fight, he was losing a little bit of the grappling exchange at the beginning, but then once he got into his mojo, into his feels, then he started flipping around, man, hitting the switches, hitting the turns, and actually getting the advantage on the ground. And I think if he does the same thing to Marc-Andre Barriult right this one, it's going to be something surprising that Barriult, he's not a star-studded performer. He's recently becoming a fan favorite, or at least a notable face you're going to be seeing a lot, but he does struggle a little bit. So if Chidi can come in and steal that heat that he's kind of starting to find, I think it's going to be very advantageous for Njokuani going forward and going to really line up that name, man. I personally like Njokuani in this fight. I think it is going to be an uphill battle and probably the hardest opponent he's fought so far in Barriult, but I still favor Njokuani with those kicks, man. They're deadly. They're dangerous. Who do you think, Derick?
Well, I'm favoring Chidi Bang Bang on this one, man, simply for the length, I always got to choose the fighter who's got the 6-inch reach advantage, who can keep the fight on the feet if possible. Like I said, he has underrated takedown defense, underrated ability to get back up to his feet, and he has very, very good jiu-jitsu. But here's the thing here. Let's talk about notable wins for just a quick second, brother. You wouldn't believe it, but Chidi Njokuani in his relatively, he's got a pretty long MMA career. 27 fights overall, but a lot of them haven't been in major promotions, right? He has a couple Bellator fights, all that good stuff, right? So in his last 5, 1 Dana White Contender Series, 1 LFA, 3 Bellator fights, right? But the notable wins, he knocked out Andre Fialho in the first round, brother. That's a man who knocks out everybody, right? So it's like, okay. He has a split decision win over Payne Max Griffin, brother. UFC contender for real. And then he has a decision win over Melvin Guillard, which if you don't know who that is, folks, look him up. Melvin Guillard is nobody to mess around with. And in terms of Marc-Andre Barriult, his notable wins have come in his last 2 fights. Abu Azaitar, who is that as notable as a win as some of the names that I just listed? Maybe not. You know what I mean? It's up there. But then you also have Dalcha Lungiambula, who is a tank of a man. So it's like, if you could beat that man, you could beat a lot of people right there, brother. But this is a different matchup, man. Number 80 versus number 36, David versus Goliath, folks. This is the sleeper I want you guys to tune into personally. But also that first fight of the night, Malcolm Gordon versus Denys Bondar, banger of a fight, folks. So those are the sleepers. Once again, folks, if you like the segment, if you like the sleepers, definitely tune in first and foremost. That's the whole point of this segment. But second, drop a like, subscribe, share the show with your friends, all the fun stuff. You know what time it is, folks. All right, brother. So right before we move on, I just wanted to talk about just a couple more prelims. There's only like 1 or 2 more that I want to talk about before we move on to the main card, because we got some fights that we need to break down. So let's do it, brother. The only other fights that I think are pretty legitimately notable, and we'll move over to the screen over here. We have Danilo Marques versus Jailton Almeida, man. And I don't need to get even too into depth on this one, but I really want to talk about Danilo Marques, man. So this is an individual, 11-3, great jiu-jitsu, puts the backpack on people. However, and he lost his last grappling match to Gabriel Checo, the dude who just got beat by Rashad Evans, man, in MMA. So, listen, brother, that's how good Danilo Marques is. Such a good grappler, but he still lost to Gabriel Checo, which goes to show the levels of pure jiu-jitsu grappling, right? Either way, he loses his last fight to Kennedy Njokuani, a fight that he was really winning in the beginning until he wasn't, excuse me. We remember his big win over Mike Slow Rodriguez, rear naked choke. Khadis Ibragimov, man, I always tell people this is one of the toughest men that you can fight, and if you have a win over him, brother, that is such a feather in your cap right there. And listen, man, he had those are his first 2 fights in the UFC, 1 fight in 2020, 3 fights in 2021. We're hoping that he can have a very active 2022, but I do think that he did have to kind of withdraw from some fights due to some injuries or something like that, man. He does have his canceled bout against Jailton Almeida. It was a rescheduled bout. I don't really know what's going on, man, but things have slowed down a little bit in 2022. Either way, I just wanted to ask you about how you feel about the prospect Danilo Marques, man. This is an individual, 11-3, 4 knockouts, 5 submissions, 2 decisions. Give me your thoughts, brother.
Man, he might be 11-3, and he might have dropped his last one against Kennedy Njokuani, but you're right, he was winning that fight until he wasn't. And that fight against Mike Slow Rodriguez, man, I was favoring Slow on that one. Absolutely got turned around, man. Danilo Marques is a serious power to be reckoned with. Dude can get it done either way, man. Standing, he has power. On the ground, he's very, very dangerous. He's always hunting the submissions. This dude has a lot of potential to be coming up. He just really needs to start stacking those wins. You can't really take much away from that Kennedy Njokuani loss, or it can't take much away from Danilo Marquez, because it was a really good fight, man. It was a scrap in the beginning. He was doing really, really well until he wasn't with that standing KO. It's how it goes down, especially with a big puncher like Kennedy Njokuani. But Danilo Marquez has a big future, especially if he can start stringing these wins together. I think this is a good Showtime match against Almeida, where we're really going to see Danilo Marquez kind of put out his skills, show everybody what he's kind of got in this one.
Yeah, no, absolutely, brother. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't know too much about Jailton Almeida simply because this is a dude coming off of the contender series. You know what I'm saying? So we don't really have too much information in terms of the big show. And apologies for looking over here. I was just trying to look at the man's record. 14-2. And let's take a deep dive over here, brother. Lots of grappling bouts. Look at all the decisions he's got. These rear naked chokes, all that good stuff, right? When we're looking at the fights, rear naked choke, arm triangle, punches, rear naked choke, brother. So this is going to be a matchup where it's going to be the same styles clashing against each other. Jiu-jitsu versus jiu-jitsu, punches versus punches. I think Danilo Marquez has the opportunity to get a big win in this matchup. However, don't sleep on Jailton Almeida, man. These Dana White Contender Series dudes are hungry when they're coming in their UFC debuts. They're coming to take out the big names. You know what I'm saying? They're coming to level up. So it's like, what better way than to beat a Danilo Marquez, who I have ranked on Tapology as number 35 in the what submission or what weight class we're doing? Is this middleweight? Light heavyweight. Number 30, 35 in the light heavyweight division. What better way to win your UFC debut and jump all the way up the rankings like that, brother? I mean, we just saw it a couple weeks ago, right? Where it was a non-ranked dude, and it was why am I blanking on the name? Victor Henry, right? Gets the win over Heoni Barcelos. We saw that, and it was like, brother, you just stormed up those rankings. Even though you're not top 15, you just beat a dude who is considered to be a top 15 fighter right there. You love to see it. All right, folks, enough messing around. Let's talk some main card, brother.
Here's to another main card breakdown, courtesy of your hosts, Derick G and AJ.
Okay, brother. So, once again, updated graphics on this one, brother. Tell me what you think before we start off on this one. What you think of the you know what I'm saying, new graphic that we got here?
Ooh, I like it, Derick. I like the font. I like that it's broken down. You can see it a little bit better. Yeah, man, I really like this, man. Derick's been working hard, folks. You got to show that love, man. Drop those likes. Share with your friends, man. We've been working hard over here.
Absolutely, folks. If you do dig it, you know what I mean? That's all we want. We want to make it aesthetically pleasing for you guys, all of that fun stuff. But let's talk some fights, brother, for real this time. We got Juicy J, Julian Erosa, who's fighting number 69 ranked Steven Peterson. And Erosa's ranked unofficially number 29 in the Tapology in the featherweight division. Minus 300 favorite is Juicy J Erosa, plus 240 for Steven Peterson. AJ, if there's anybody who can get the win against Julian Erosa in this fight, I do think it's Steven Peterson. I do not believe you should be counting this man out. I'm going to already kind of preface a little bit that I'm favoring Erosa in this fight. I just think he's more of a dangerous man, has more weapons. Both of these dudes' jiu-jitsu is legit, but Erosa has shown he can grab an anaconda on you at any given time. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, the things that are going to count in this one are the intangibles. Not necessarily intangibles, but the reach, the height, all of that good stuff, man. 4-inch reach advantage for Erosa. About 3 inches in height right there for Erosa. But you got something that is an intangible with Steven Peterson that you cannot discount, and that is heart, that is grit, that is guts right here, brother. What do you think about this matchup on paper, right? When you saw this, did you think, oh, okay, easy win for Erosa? Or did you say, okay, this is a dude who they're not really giving a chance, man. Maybe I should watch out for him.
A little bit of both, man. I think everybody got jaded from the Steven Peterson Chase Hooper fight, where I feel like Peterson should have been able to finish Hooper. It went down to decision. He wasn't able to get the things going. He kind of struggled a little bit on the ground, but that's just because Hooper is so good on the ground. But in the feet, man, Peterson has some serious power in that right hand. Good takedown defense, and was able to show how much more muscle he has and how much more strength he has against a fighter like Chase Hooper, which admittedly probably isn't the hardest thing to do since Chase is still young. He's still 21 years old, but it showed Peterson that he has that leap ahead of the rest of the division already, man. He's very, very strong, very powerful, and on paper, I was already leaning a little bit towards Erosa as well, man. He's just, the way we've been seeing Erosa fight, like a man possessed, man, this dude is a dog in there. Very good striking, very good grappling. I thought this was going to be a very uphill battle for Peterson, but you're right, Derick. That 240 or that plus money 240 is very, very not, I don't want to say like a dark horse or anything, but there's some good money there where he can come back if Steven Peterson lands a big bomb of a right hand, kind of gets Erosa on shaky legs, gets him on his back, hurts him, gets him thinking. then I think Peterson has a better shot for this one. Although, I mean, I do agree with you. I think Julian Erosa has more tools in the tool belt and a little bit bigger of a dog, to be honest with you, man. I think, I don't get me wrong, I think both Peterson and Erosa are both very tough, very gritty fighters. I just think Erosa has a little bit more time in there to develop a little bit bigger of a dog. But either way, this one's going to be a very fun fight to watch. What you think, Derick?
Well, I do think that I agree with the assessment, man. Like, it's not necessarily like I'm saying this is live dog right here. Go pick on Steven Peterson. I do think Erosa definitely has the edge here. I just think with Peterson in this matchup specifically against Julian Erosa, we know that Erosa is prone to be a madman. He's a dangerous man, and he even said it in the pre-fight presser. He says, whether I win or lose, I don't like to go to the distance. And we saw that in the Sung Woo Choi fight where Choi just put his ass down real fast. But I do think that sparked a fire underneath the, under his butt right there and made him say like, okay, I need to reevaluate these things, man. I'm going on these nice little runs and then I'm losing, and then I'm going on the run and then I'm losing. I'm dropping the ball. I need to focus, the mentality. I need to mentally lock in a little bit. And one thing he also said is that his sparring was a little too sporadic prior to the Sung Woo Choi fight. So maybe he sharpened up the sparring a little bit. And if that's the case, man, I mean, listen, dangerous everywhere. That is literally the first thing that I have written down for Erosa in all capitals. Dangerous everywhere. He can strike going forwards and backwards, which is something that you love to see, but Steven Peterson can also do the same right there. Constant pressure, great body work, man. That's an underrated element of Erosa's game, man. He's digging shovel shots to the body, trying to tire you out right there. And like I said earlier, constant darces, constant anaconda chokes. Those long limbs of Julian Erosa are allowing him to be able to get those front chokes, man, those sneaky chokes coming out of nowhere. I mean, look at that fight against Charles Air Jourdain in his last fight, brother. I mean, you can argue Jourdain was winning the fight until he got choked out, right? So that's just kind of the name of the game. That's what happened. But it was a back and forth, super fun fight. And if we know one thing, we know that Charles Jourdain is one of the best strikers in the division. Is Steven Peterson on that level? Nah, probably not. But like I said, he packs a pop in his shot. 70-inch reach, like I said, you know what I mean? But AJ, this is the interesting thing right here. So Julian Erosa likes to go forward a lot. So I want to ask you, Steven Peterson has a really good counter guillotine. And that's something that most fighters have when you got a dude rushing in on you. But what are the odds that we see? Because both of these dudes, let's look at combined 20 submissions between the two. 12 for Erosa, 8 for Peterson. What are the odds that two jiu-jitsu, like really good jiu-jitsu fighters make this a kickboxing fight? Or what are the odds that we see this turn into a grappling matchup?
I think we're more in store for when fire meets fire, it goes to something different. So I think with two jiu-jitsu guys in here that have 20 some combined submissions, I think we're in store for a kickboxing match, especially because both fighters are very easily talked into a firefight. One lands a good shot on one, and then the other lands a good shot, and the next thing you know, both people are swinging for the fences, trying to put your head in the stands. I think that's really what I'm expecting in this one, man. Julian Juicy J. Erosa, this dude is always down for a dog fight, and same thing with Peterson. Literally anytime, anywhere, he's willing to swing for the fences. I think we're in store for a dogfight, man. I think we're in store for some crazy standing battle. Maybe it goes to the ground because you're right. Peterson does have a very slick guillotine, but I think Erosa knows enough about that where he's going to avoid that and make this one something a little bit more towards his style of that on the front foot, keeping the pace, striking all day long.
Sure. All right, brother. Southpaw versus Southpaw. Who do you got in this one? Over and under looks like it is 2.5 rounds. So who do you got on this one, and what's your over and under?
Ooh, close. I'm going Erosa, and I'm going KO round 2. I'm thinking I'm going to take that's why I said it's close. It's which over under do I want to go with, man? I think I'm going to go with the over. I think it's going to be the end of round 2. KO for Erosa. What about you,
Okay.
Derek?
So I like this fight, and I actually see this one going to the distance. And here's the reason why. Hear me out, brother. Steven Peterson is a very, very tough man to finish. That is assuming Erosa is going to cruise to a victory, right? Steven Peterson has been finished one time in his 28-fight MMA career. 8 decision losses, 0 submission losses, only 1 knockout. However, we've seen Juicy J get the lights put out a couple of times, right? He's been knocked out 5 times, and he's lost 4 decisions. Neither men have been submitted, which is why I'm not really banking on a submission, victory in this one. But I do think that this is going to be just a pure blood and guts dogfight. Last man standing gets, he gets the nod or whatever the case may be. And if they're both standing, well, That's what the judge's job is for. But I do see this going the over. I'm going to pick Julian Erosa simply because, like I said, I just think he has more weapons. He's longer, has a little bit more experience with the tough fights, because if we're looking at notable wins against Charles Jourdain, Sean Woodson, Jamal Emmers, like really, really good strikers in the featherweight division. But for Peterson, it's more Erwin Rivera, who is a man who we don't really even need to talk about. He's had a lot of out-of-the-cage problems out here. Ray Rodriguez ×2, and Chase Hooper. So it's like, you know what I mean? Put those together. I like the strength of Erosa's schedule just a little bit more. Lastly, on this one, AJ, man, in terms of Steven Peterson, brother, do you think that fighters like him stick around in the UFC? And I don't even mean that in a derogatory sense. In his UFC tenure, he's 3-3, so he's 500. Erosa is 4-5 in the UFC. So honestly, Steven Peterson has a little bit better of the UFC career. But do you think that he sticks in so he could be that tough test for these guys? Like he strikes me as like the dude who, he's not the contender, he's not the prospect, but he's a tough outing anytime that he steps into that cage. What do you think?
I'd be a little more inclined to say no, just because of how the things have been going with the UFC, with the farm system they have and how many people they're bringing in. Those gatekeeper position, those tough outings, they have a place, but I feel like you've already had to have that set in. Or you got to be, like a Sam Alvey, where you're willing to take any fight, anytime, anywhere. It doesn't matter who it is. He's down to bang. I think that's the only real way that we're seeing these kind of, and I don't want to call Steven Peterson a gatekeeper. That's just the easiest frame of reference I can put into like a category, He's not really a contender, not necessarily one of the guys that's up and coming, but he's really in that middle of the pack. That's a very hard fight that once you get past him, then you're on to bigger and better things. It's hard because I feel like back, a couple years ago, 3-4 years ago, those fighters were around all the time and they had a good place. They had a home. They had a place to stay. Whereas now we're starting to see a lot more kind of get the kick. So I think it's a little harder, even though he does have a better number on, the 3-3 versus the 4-5. I just think Julian Erosa has a little bit more shine to him than Peterson does. Maybe he gets that back. Maybe he gets this win. It kind of starts, shining the wheels up, making the ride look pretty, and then he stays around for a little bit longer. But if he doesn't, I don't see him staying too long, to be honest with you, Derick.
Okay, I hear you, man. That's a good take on that one. And I will just say I think this matchup did get made because when each of these fighters win, they win in devastating fashion. Let's remember Erosa's flying knee win against Nate Landwehr, Nate the Train, right? Let's think about Steven Peterson when he fought Martin Bravo, and they both did a spinning back fist at the same time. But Steven Peterson's one is the one that landed and put Bravo out, plus a couple extra shots at the end. Yeah, that was dirty, man. But it should be a good one to start off the main card. Next up, AJ, this is the Ultimate Fighter Championship matchup. This is the finale right here, brother. I don't care what you say. Yes, Gilbert Urbina, he got the nod when Gore had a knee injury. He couldn't fight. But Bryan Battle versus Tresean Gore. Tresean Gore kind of being the number one seed versus the B side in Bryan Battle. This is the fight that we needed to see right here, brother. And I am so happy because I told you I'm a little bit of a, I like my, how would you say, soap operas for men. You know what I mean? The Ultimate Fighter, that's what it is, brother. It's just a little drama reality show for men. And I watched all of it, brother. I watched it from beginning to finish, and I think that this is going to be a banging matchup, especially because Bryan Battle, talk about a story. That's really what it comes down to. Talk about a story. Last pick on the Ultimate Fighter. Came in, lots of belly fat, not really too in shape, man. If you look at him now, the man is chiseled. He's got a camp. He is focused. And I think it's because it's one of those things where you don't know how good you are until you surprise yourself. You go in there and you get the dubs and you're like, damn, I didn't know I could do some of this stuff. Or you did know you can do it, but you needed to see it to actually be able to put 2 and 2 together. Either way, AJ, how do we describe this bout? We have Tresean Gore, who disrespect once again, right? No headshot. Come on, man. What are we talking about? But we have Tresean Gore, who is an incredible striker, brother. I have literally, this is what I have. I have lightning fast hands and kicks. Lightning fast. I mean, when you watch the man kick, it's devastating. When you watch him punch, it's devastating. And those calf kicks, for sure. But Bryan Battle, you have a dude who is a little more well-rounded. Great takedown defense. He can submit you from basically anywhere. So long. Great teep kicks. Able to keep the distance. Long, rangy striker who has some real pop in his shots. And I can never forget the Andre Petrosky fight at the Ultimate Fighter where he knees Andre Petroski in the head, and Petroski says something like, "Oh, illegal shot, da 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 da," you know what I mean? And then they watch the replay, and it was a knee, and he literally looked across from him. He's like, "You're a fucking bitch, bro. What's up?" And came up, and they was like, "Scrap," you know what I mean? But I was like, Bryan Battle, I was like, "You're a savage, brother. Like, you come to scrap." I love to see it, because Andre Petroski, who is also in the UFC, that's a scary individual, brother. I don't care. You standing against that man, that is a scary man to fight. So Bryan Battle strikes me as the man with no fear in his heart. How do you think he fares against Tresean Gore in this unofficial Ultimate Fighter finale?
Man, this I'm glad you brought up that moment, because that's when I saw that Bryan Battle had some dog in him. He's like, "Man, you a bitch." I was like, "Oh shit, all right, Battle's got some heat. All right, man." That's really when I started to get the fandom for Bryan Battle. But honestly, man, this is going to be a very fun fight. If Battle can take it to the ground, I think we're going to see something different from Tresean Gore. But he needs to avoid the power, man. The power and the speed of Tresean Gore is something different. The only qualm I have with Tresean is he thinks a little bit too much, man. You can see him in there kind of battling out like, okay, I know I need to feint the jab and then come over with the two, but when do I do it? When does it work? Oh, is this going to work? You can see him thinking in there and not necessarily just going with the flow, unless he's changed things a lot in his camp and he's gotten better after the knee injury. He's feeling healthy. Then we're going to see a very fun, very impactful fighter and very, very strong, man. So if I have to break this one down, man, I think it's going to be a striking battle until Bryan Battle gets hurt. Then he's going to try to work the bottom. If Battle's smart, then he's going to try to work the takedown the entire time. But Tresean Gore does have very good takedown defense, and his hips are strong, man. He can get out. He can see things coming. He's just a little bit I always praise the cerebral fighters when you see a fighter that can think and analyze, but he's the wrong kind of cerebral where he doubts what he's thinking and what he's seeing instead of trusting it and going forward. Maybe we see something different. Maybe Tresean Gore surprises me in this one. He comes out fluid, looking like the style bender, but I think there's going to be a lot of growth in Tresean Gore's career coming forward, and I actually think he's going to be around for a very long time. What do you think?
Okay, I mean, I like the assessment on that one, man. I think that Tresean Gore, agree with you. He thinks a little bit too much in there, man, and that's an interesting way of putting it, like kind of doubting your abilities when you're in there, when in reality, you just got to let it go. You know what I mean? Just like how the Mike Perry, right? Just go. You know what I'm saying? Mike Perry's like, fuck, you go. I'm not trying to get hit right now. Maybe he got a little bit of that in Tresean Gore, but at the end of the day, when he does let go, it's just vicious. His nickname is Mr. Vicious for a reason, brother. And I think he has all the determination to make this a fun scrap, to make this a devastating matchup, because when he hits you, brother, when he hit that left hook on Gilbert Urbina, he slumped the man. Like, it's not like a TKO. It's a knockout. You know what I'm saying? But Bryan Battle, brother, I honestly think all the momentum is on his side. I think that he should be the favorite in this fight, to be honest with you. So I wanted to ask you real quick, minus 165 for Tresean Gore, plus 140 for Bryan Battle. Is this a live dog right here, AJ? I think of any of the fights that we have on this main card, when I looked at the odds on this one, I said, okay, what is it? The hype of Tresean Gore? Is it because how good he was on The Ultimate Fighter? Or is it, I don't know, what is it? Why are we not showing the love that we need to show to Bryan Battle? He showed us time and time again. I picked against him almost every time on The Ultimate Fighter, and he won every time. So it's like, what do you think what are the odds makers seeing here?
I think it has to be just going back to The Ultimate Fighter, man. I think Tresean Gore is the people's champ of The Ultimate Fighter, yeah. And I think that's just kind of still rolling. And we haven't seen anything different because Gore's been injured. But I think Bryan Battle just doesn't necessarily have that star power, that thing that's going to draw you in to make you like him. I saw it in The Ultimate Fighter when he called that dude a bitch, but I don't think the rest of the UFC fandom has quite seen that yet, especially from his other fights. He came in, he fought Gilbert Urbina in the Ultimate Fighter finale. Mm-hmm. Wasn't necessarily that good of a win, and it didn't seem like they were scrappy. It just seemed like a contest. Where I think if Tresean Gore goes in there, he has a lot more of that dog that people like to see. So I think that's why he's still the favorite. But I do agree with you, Derick. I think the momentum is on the side of Bryan Battle, and I think this is a live dog, man. If you're looking to get a little bit of scratch some way, there's that 140 for Bryan Battle, and it's very. The paper leads that way. He's better on the ground. He's better in the wrestling. He's more talented, striking technically, but he just doesn't have that power that Tresean has.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So I wanted to ask you here, on Tapology on UFC Stats or whatever, they don't have a reach listed for Tresean Gore, but I found out what the reach is by rewatching the Ultimate Fighter. 73.5 inches is the reach for Tresean Gore, 77 inches for Bryan Battle. So Gore's going to have to get on the inside. How big of a problem or how difficult do you think it's going to be for Tresean Gore to try to get in on Bryan Battle, he has a great use of his teeps, like I said. He mixes up his body kicks and his head kicks almost seamlessly to where you don't know where it's coming. You just know a kick is coming. The key to a beautiful kick like that, and I'm sure that you know, AJ, from the karate background, you bring the knee up first, and then the baseball bat is coming. You don't know where it's coming, but as long as that knee comes up, I mean, it's that element of surprise there. So how difficult of a task do you think that's going to be for Tresean Gore?
I think it's going to be pretty difficult, to be honest, man, because if Tresean is able to get on the inside, then Bryan Battle has the opportunity to get underneath and go for the takedown. It's going to be a little bit easier if Battle's hunting the takedown the entire time and Tresean's able to sit back and land some bombs. So I think it's going to be maybe not hard, but dangerous to be on the inside like that, because it gives options for both fighters to do what they're best at. Yeah. I think if Tresean is staying on the front foot the entire time and Battle is just staying on the back, kind of picking his shots, staying on the outside, it's going to be very hard for him to get actually in on the inside and land some damage. But if Bryan Battle is going for those takedowns, then it'll be a little easier for him, but a lot more dangerous in the fact that he can get taken down. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'd agree with you right there. I do think Tresean Gore, we need to put some respect on his grappling capabilities, because I've watched some fights where he initiates grappling himself. He decides, I want to take your back. He had this incredible, brother. He did something that the only other person I've seen do this as of late was Rodolfo Vieira, one of the best black belts in the UFC, one of the best jiu-jitsu guys in jiu-jitsu period. But what he does is basically he grabs this overhook from kind of the side of you, and he literally jumps on you to put the backpack on, takes you to the ground, and rear naked chokes you all at the same time. Now, this is a fight that he ended up winning on a technicality, because the dude that he fought, he escaped the choke, whatever. The round ended and dude's leg gave out, damn near broke on him or something. So Gore got the win or whatever. It was really crazy to watch, but that did surprise me. I was like, you're not just a striker. Okay, right on. Shout out, man. So ultimately, this is the People's Championship for the Ultimate Fighter. Yes, Bryan Battle does have the beautiful, whatever, just not diamond, but a crystal trophy or whatever. But this is really, in the eyes of the people, this is going to be the championship fight right here. Who do you have? Over and under is 2.5 rounds, brother. Who you got?
I'm going with the under, Derick, and I'm going Tresean Gore by knockout. Round 1. I think it's going to be a very fun, fast fight. And I'm taking a little bit ballsy of a pick here, to be honest with you, man. That KO round 1 is going to be hard for him to achieve, but I think he can get it done, man. I'm going Gore, KO, round 1, taking the under. What about you, Derick?
I love the confidence that you have behind a Tresean Gore, but if there's one thing that I've learned from watching Bryan Battle fight, it's that he is a dog, and we do not need to be discounting the man. So even though I am going to roll with Tresean Gore, because every single time when I was watching him, I was like, this is the most exciting fighter to watch. This is the man who I think has the most potential, the most UFC-ready fighter is Tresean Gore, in my opinion. I think that's why he got the shot. Even though he pulled out of the championship fight, Dana White was like, yeah, brother, we know you're good to go. Heal up your knee. We'll get you back in there in a minute. But I do not think he's going to be able to finish Bryan Battle because of how much of a dog Bryan Battle has shown to be. And if you see him, like I said, he's jacked, he's cut, he's ready. He looks sharp and ready to go. He looks like people are counting him out, and he's ready to shut some people up. So I'm still going to go Tresean Gore, but I'm going to go the over, and I'm going to go decision on this one, because we did see against Tresean Gore in his fight against I don't have the name in front of me right now, because, sometimes they don't really list them on ESPN when it's those exhibition fights, but it was one of those first Ultimate Fighter fights that he was just beating up on whatever his name was in the Ultimate Fighter.
Ryder Newman?
Ryder, yes. He couldn't get the finish on that one, brother. He was picking him apart the whole entire fight. Couldn't get the finish. So just because he has the power doesn't mean he's going to use it all the time, right? He's going to be safe. He's going to think it out a little bit. Decision win, Tresean Gore. In my book, I'm taking the over on that one, brother. All right, man. Now, this is the short notice fight that we were talking about earlier. Brendan Allen steps in on 4 days' notice to fight Smiling Sam Alvey. OG, veteran of the game, man. Listen, let's be honest. 19 knockouts, 33-16-1, most experience, all the experience you need. However, he is a plus 300 underdog with a minus 400 favorite in Brendan Allen. How tough do you got to be, or how skillful do you have to be to step in on 4 days and be a minus 400 favorite?
Man, you got to be, I think he has some people in his pocketbook for minus 400 favorite. Do I agree with those odds? Probably. I definitely think that Sam Alvey's the underdog in this one for sure. Maybe not a minus 400. That shows a lot of respect for Brandon Allen, man. He's got in, and all credit to him too, because I agree he is the more dangerous fighter in this one. But Sam Alvey's a dog, man. You can never count out those old veterans. We've seen it happen time and time again, and there's a reason he has the spot that he does, man.
I agree with you. However, I'm going to push back a little bit on you because, yes, did Brendan Allen lose his last fight against Chris Curtis where he got drawn into a gunfight that he did not need to participate in? Yes, but that's okay, right? But let's look at the fight right before that. Who did he defeat very handily? Oh, the dude who's fighting in our co-main event, Punahele Soriano, right? And if there's anybody who is a stylistic matchup that's similar to Sam Alvey, it's Punahele Soriano, right? Literally, this dude has probably bigger bombs in his hands than Sam Alvey does, even though Sam Alvey has some of the biggest bombs in the division. And also, at the same time, listen, Sam Alvey isn't going to give you that threat on the takedown. So what I'm going to do really fast, AJ, is because I actually forgot to update it, I'm going to put this in there, and I'm going to take that out. This is more accurate. This is actually a light heavyweight contest, brother. Because of the short notice fight, they did bump it up a little bit. So a little heavier hands are going to be getting thrown here. This is probably going to favor Sam Alvey more than it is going to favor Brendan Allen. But the smart thing to do if you're Brendan Allen, stay away, avoid the bombs of Sam Alvey, work the grappling, take him down, smash his face in, win an easy decision on 4 days' notice, or get an easy TKO or try to submit the man. But Sam Alvey's only been submitted twice in his illustrious over 40-fight career. Probably easier said than done. Do you agree with my assessment, or do we think that Sam Alvey has a couple different ways where he can win this fight? Because, real quick, we just know, what does he like to do? The Tyron Woodley approach. Back against the cage, wait for the counter. Simple as that. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think there's a very clear path for Brandon Allen to be taken on this one, man. Stay on the outside, work the ground game, get on the inside, get that takedown, get an easy decision where he has all the control, or get that TKO, ground and pound finish. The problem with Sam Alvey is he has that Tyrone Woodley approach. The power's there, but the chin has just been really started to degrade, man. The more and more losses he has, the more punches he takes where he gets clipped, where we see him on shaky legs, he's out on Queer Street. That's Sam Alvey's. That's really what his MO has been coming towards, man. He's really been that dog of a fighter who's down for a scrap, who's always down to swing with the best of them. But when he gets cracked, he really gets hurt and kind of takes that backward step. It's lost a lot of his decisions, even though it's up for debate on if he won that Wellington Turman fight. Whether you're a Sam Alvey fan, you think he won, or whether you think Turman did. Turman did hurt him in that fight. So it's hard to say that Sam Alvey's still as good as he used to be. But I just think there's a more clear path for Brandon Allen on this one, man. Stay on the outside, get those kicks going, get Sam Alvey back pushed up against the fence, and then shoot in under for that takedown. Get your game going how you usually do. It's just on paper, seems stylistically leading a lot more towards Brandon Allen on this one. I mean, don't get me wrong though. Sam Alvey, he can get it done. He'll always be a company man. He may not always be a gatekeeper. We may not see him some other places, but this dude is always a dangerous fight. You come in unexpected, you throw some lazy kick, and he lands a bomb of a right hand. He can always put you out. He has that power to get it done. And with 51 fights on his record, this dude has the experience to see things coming, set something up different, and then go for something unexpected. He can always flip the script and get things going. Maybe he's been working on a little bit better of a ground game attack in his camp, but I just think that Brandon Allen has that so far solidified. It's going to be hard for Sam Alvey to get anything done. What do you think?
Well, I agree with everything you said, man. If Brendan Allen decides to go into a firefight with Sam Alvey, that will just show the fight IQ. I hope that he does not do that, simply for the sake of it'd be fun to watch, to be honest with you, but I think that in terms of, for a victory, yeah, work the grappling, come on, play it safe, get the dub. But let's not forget, for Sam Alvey in that Wellington Turman fight, Turman actually got a point taken away in the beginning of the fight, and Alvey still lost a split decision. So it goes to show, man. I mean, 2 split decision losses in his last 5. He's 0-4-1 in his last 5. That could be 2-2-1, a little bit better. Either way, I agree with you, man. It's just tough out here, man. That Ryan Spann fight was very close. That's another one that he lost split decision on that one. But Sam Alvey, you love to see him. You love that he's company man. I love that he's around. I love that he's always smiling, taking one on the chin. Not literally, but you know what I'm trying to say. And
literally too.
Yeah, literally. But listen, I think Brendan Allen, this is just a smash spot for him, man. He's arguably should probably be ranked in the middleweight division. However, this is a light heavyweight contest, so should be fun. I don't got much else to say on that one, but the over and under is 1.5 rounds on this fight. AJ, who do you have, and how do you see it going down?
Man, the change up to light heavyweight does pose a little bit different of a fight. I think Alvey might have more power and might have a better chin to him. We might see Alvey move up. But personally, man, I'm rocking with Allen. I'm going Brendan Allen. I'm going by decision. I'm taking the over. I just think he has a lot clearer of a path. And if he can get that ground game going and get that control working, it's going to be not an easy fight, but a more stylistically fight for him.
Yep. And I think I'm going the over on this one, too. I'm going in favor of Brendan Allen. And the reason why I'm going over is because look at Sam Alvey's last 5. Wellington Turman, Julian Marquez, Da Eun-jung, Ryan Spann, Klidson, Abreu. And the only fight that he got finished in that one was against Marquez, and that was a submission loss. No knockouts, with all of those killers, with all of the bombs in their hands. Even Marquez. Marquez has ridiculous bombs in his hands, and none of those guys have been able to put out Alvey, put him away. So I think that Brendan Allen, even though he does have bombs in his hands too, man, he doesn't have the same power Alvey does, and that move up to light heavyweight is definitely going to be influential right there. But AJ, brother, this is the one we've been waiting for, brother. This is the hardest fight that I had to pick out of all 6 fights. Number 25 ranked Nomad Shavkat Rakhmonov is facing off against number 49 ranked Carlston Harris, brother, fighting out of Guam. Carlston Harris is one of my biggest dark horses in the welterweight division, but none bigger than Shavkat Rakhmonov, man. You know I've been talking about this fighter out of Kazakhstan for a long time. Minus 230 favorite is Rakhmonov with the plus 190 underdog in Carlston Harris. And one thing that I can say is that I think Harris, I don't know if he was a favorite in his last fight against Imba Kasanganay, but he's kind of been like overlooked in these last 2 fights, and he's finished his opponents in devastating fashion. So I'm hoping for a banging fight here, but both of these dudes are good at the same things, AJ, and that's what's weird to me right here. Shavkat Rakhmonov, heavy outside leg kicks, nasty guillotine, trips from the clinch and the body lock position are his go-to, so he can work the ground game, get a little bit of grappling going. But for Carlston Harris, he's always looking for the body lock, always looking for the little trip takedowns, the little Polish throws out there off of that body lock. Right hand covers a lot of distance. It's kind of like a club. I've talked about it before. Uses the kicks to keep the range, and very underrated power in the hands. However, Shavkat Rakhmonov, there's just something about the man. I don't know if it's that same thing that you were talking about. Not stiff, but this tightness where he's just there, he's ready to go. And when he lets his shot goes, brother, he goes. And he has this interesting way of timing his opponents to where he's pushing you back against the cage, He's going right hand, pushing you back. He knows you're going to bounce back off the cage. So what does he do? He sets up a beautiful knee to the body to come back, drop you down like that. Like, he's done that in devastating fashion to a lot of these dudes. In the UFC, 2-0, both submission wins. He got an easy win over Cowboy Oliveira. That was a submission first round win, and then against Prazeres, he gets the submission round 2. That was a funny fight though, because Prazeres was so small and Rakhmonov so tall. It was just a funny looking fight. This is the fight though. This is going to determine whether Rakhmonov is the real deal and vice versa. This is going to determine whether Harris is the real deal. Now, AJ, this is kind of, in my eyes, and forgive me if I'm making this a little too extreme, but in my eyes, this is the welterweight version of a Chris Daukaus versus Tom Aspinall. But they're matched up so relatively young in their career. This is kind of like what we were saying. It's like, do we want to match these guys up, or do we want to let them get some wins, and then match them up when we get towards the top? Clearly, Rakhmonov is closer to the top 15 than Carlston Harris is, but both of these dudes are just about equally as good. This is, once again, my nerdy references. This is Goku versus Cell, you know what I mean? Like, Cell is just that much better, and that's Rakhmonov in my opinion, but they're like right there, brother. You know what I mean? It's tough to really say one of these dudes is so much better than the other. Rant aside, give me your take on the matchup, brother.
I agree with you, Derick, and it's hard to bet against Goku, man, because this dude, Carlston Harris, is a killer, man. You're looking anywhere he can go and he can get that body lock on you, you're going to be put in some crazy submission, and this dude is very much a dark horse in the division. That plus 190 money, I'll let you know, folks, I'm leaning a little bit more towards Rakhmonov on this one, but that plus 190 money is very, very good because he can get something slick early in the beginning. Rakhmonov is more known for his kind of smash style where he's going to be working the ground and pound, getting things going, and then get the submission on you, where Carlston Harris is just looking to lock something up, get something tight, and put you out, get you tapping and screaming uncle, man. Carlston Harris is very, very dangerous, and I agree with you, Derick. The styles of this one are very copy and paste. I had a very hard time choosing because it's like, how could this fight go? Will we see the snappy jab of Rakhmonov coming in, or will Carlston Harris see that coming, duck under, and get the body lock, get things going? I think Harrison is a little more well-rounded on the ground, whereas Rakhmonov is a little bit more dangerous all around, if that makes sense. Like he has that kind of killer instinct where he knows how to finish things going, whereas Rakhmonov is looking to set something up and then get the finish on you. Or excuse me, if I said that wrong. Harrison is looking to get, set something up and then get the finish on you. Rakhmonov, man, he's very, very dangerous. This is going to be a fun fight of the night, man. Or maybe not fight of the night, but this is going to be a fun fight, excuse me, because both of these fighters have that style where they can go and they can, mash against each other. But I think we're in store for a very up and down washing machine style kind of fight. What do you think? No,
I absolutely agree with you, man. And the interesting thing to me is that Harris, though he has a couple more fights, right? He has 21 fights overall. 7 of those fights, have gone via decision. 5 via knockout, 5 via submission, but 7 via decision. Rakhmonov has a 100% finish rate, 14-0, 7 knockouts, 7 submissions. But that's what's interesting to me. If you've never had to win a decision, you don't have the experience of, I know what it takes to be able to win a decision when I can't get the knockout, when I can't get the finish, right? So that's what I wanted to ask you right here. Let's say Rakhmonov does get the nod. Does he maintain his 100% finish rate, or do you think Harris, who has only been knocked out once, never submitted, lost 3 decisions, do you think he can finish Harris? I guess is the question that I'm asking you.
I think he can. I think he can by ground and pound. Maybe something goes where he doesn't get, Carlston Harris doesn't get the right, submission going, and then he gets caught with those elbows, gets caught with those hammer fists going down. I see that's how it's going to be able to get that's how Rakhmonov is going to be able to get the finish. Mm-hmm. But I like what you're saying about the never going to decision, because that's a mental game right there. Yeah. You crack some dude that, you've been dropping people left and right with this one. He stands there looking right back at you, come in full force, and you're sitting there like, oh shit, now you're in the 3rd round, tired, drowning in that deep water. This dude still has that body lock on. He's still doing the same thing he was doing from round 1. That's a mental drain right there, bro. That's an uphill battle. You're fighting with some dude who's trying to, twist your limbs around. That's a very strange place to be if you've never been there before. And if Rakhmonov has that in this high of a caliber, that's going to be a very hard mental battle, man. I'm interested to see if that's what happens, because if that's the case, man, I'm leaning a little bit more towards Harrison on that one. He can get that decision win, whereas Rakhmonov's a little bit, I think he can get the finish personally. What do you think?
All right, let's put some respect on my man's name. His last name is Harris, brother, not Harrison. Harris.
Harris, my bad.
It's all good. It's all good. This is the big question, AJ. This is what it comes down to. Because, like I said, the decision, it's going to be interesting not having that experience when Harris does have it. But this is the big question. Both of these dudes love to take their opponent down. Both of these dudes have 100% takedown defense. Who gets the first takedown?
Ooh, I'm going with Harris. I'm going with Harris getting the first takedown. I think Rakhmonov is going to be a little bit stronger on the feet, to be honest.
You know what? I actually believe the same thing, which is interesting, because most people probably wouldn't say that. Most people would probably say, nah, Rakhmonov's going to show that Kazakhstanian strength and just, go and grab him. But Harris will do relentless things to get that body lock on you, brother. And once he gets it, it's going to be a long night. But overall, brother, notable wins for Shavkat Rakhmonov. You have Alex Oliveira, Cowboy Oliveira, but believe it or not, he has a win over the Iron Turtle, Jun Young Park, a submission win over the Iron Turtle. Brother, that's impressive. Now, when he's talking about Carlston Harris, he has a win over Impa Kasanganay. Not too impressive because Kasanganay is not in the UFC anymore, but he's a very, very good fighter. But this is the one that maybe you wouldn't expect. He also has a decision win against Michel Paeta, right? One of those few losses that Paeta has is against Carlston Harris. So that's why I'm saying these two dudes are so damn good. All I can say, folks, is sit back, get your popcorn, and just watch a great show, because regardless of who you're picking, it's going to be a fun fight. However, I'm going Rakhmonov, and I don't see a finish happening here, brother. I'm going decision on this one. The over on this one is 1.5 rounds. So the odds makers think that this one's probably going to end early. Either way, I'm going over Rakhmonov. Who do you have, brother?
Man, I'm going with the over 2, Derick, and I'm going Rakhmonov, but I'm going TKO round 2. So I agree. I think it's going to be a finish fight, but I'm going right in that round 2 range. And like I said, I'm going TKO for Rakhmonov.
Okay, folks, and just in case you don't really know what like over 1.5, over 2.5, whatever the case may be is, if you're going over 1.5 rounds, the fight has to last over 7 minutes and 30 seconds. Over 2.5, it has to last at least 12 minutes and 30 seconds in order to kind of cash in on that bet. So that's the picks right there, folks. Tune in for a fun fight. Now, AJ, it's kind of interesting because you can argue on one hand, maybe the Rakhmonov versus Harris fight should be the co-main event, but we got a banging matchup regardless. We got number 32 ranked Punahele Soriano versus Nate Diaz prodigy, number 74 ranked Nick Maximov. Now, this is a really, really fun fight in my opinion, brother. I got to see Nick Maximov fight live at UFC 266 when he fought Cody Brundage, and this dude is as game as they come. He fought on the same card as Nick Diaz, which was really fun. But you got a dude who throws absolute bombs in his hands in Puna Soriano versus a dude who can grapple with the best of them, has some really good boxing, and is as tough as they come in Nick Maximov. Now, AJ, brother, I wanted to ask you this. I think a lot of people are going to look at this matchup because they don't know a lot about Maximov, and they're going to immediately say, oh, easy, Soriano via KO, done. Minus 200 favorite, that's an easy bet. Let's just cash the ticket and let's move on. However, I think there's more to this story than that. I think that people are really discounting Nick Maximov, and I think it's simply just because he's not a name. He's undefeated, 7-0, 1-0 in the UFC. AJ, how impressive is it to you that Nick Maximov in his Dana White Contender Series, he needed a fight? I think his opponent pulled out or whatever. He's like, give me whoever. This is a dude who fights at middleweight, right? He said, heavyweight, okay, that's fine, whatever. I'll move up to heavyweight. Weighed in at 209 pounds because this man is repping Stockton over there, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to the Central Valley. But weighed in at 209, fought a dude who's like 300 pounds, you know what I mean? A big heavyweight, right? Took him down. It was a washing machine match on the ground, but either way, he basically dominated him on the ground and got the nod. How impressive is that to you? What does that say about the heart and the tenacity of a Nick Maximov, even though he didn't get awarded a UFC contract immediately then?
Man, that's that street mentality right there. Whoever, whenever,
Yes.
That speaks levels to Maximov's game, man. And he very much is a ground game specialist. Has a lot more grappling to him. But this dude got hands, man. Especially in that Nick Diaz camp, in that Diaz camp, they know how to box. They know how to get it going. Whether it's that death by 1,000 punches or with that power, which Maximov has, man. Maximov has some serious power. Maybe not as much as his opponent Punahele Soriano, but Maximov can still catch you one, man, and get you thinking something different. Man, very speaks levels to the fact that this dude's willing to jump up, 2 different weight classes, 40, 50 some odd pounds. That's insane, man. That's absolutely insane. If you've ever even just wrestled one of your homies that's a little bit bigger than you, you know how big of a difference that weight makes, especially once you're jumping up a couple different weight classes, man. That's a scrap right there. I love that.
Yeah, brother. So listen, man, I really think that this is one of those fights where it's like, you got to watch out for the dude that you don't know his name. You know what I mean? It's easy to overlook it. Oh, he's only got one fight in the UFC. Okay, easy. No, brother, there's more to it. So AJ, brother, Brendan Allen, he kind of gave us the game plan on how to beat Punahele Soriano in his last fight, right? One thing that was really interesting is most people want to stay away from the big left hand of Soriano, but Brendan Allen didn't do that. Instead of circling away from the left hand, he circled into the left hand and dipped out every time that left hand was coming out. Dipped out to his right when he should have probably been moving to his left. So I thought that was interesting that Brendan Allen used his footwork to kind of negate the power of Soriano. Used a lot of that head movement, all that good stuff. And the big key right here, something that Maximov does very well that Brendan Allen did, he worked the body relentlessly on Soriano. Got him tired, took some steam off of those punches, and ended up getting the nod on it, man. I mean, it just goes to show the testament of Brendan Allen, how skilled he is, but it also goes to show that when Soriano, who lost his O in that fight, he is now 8-1. He was 8-0 at the time. When he can't get that knockout shot, things start getting a little weird, right? But let's not forget, Soriano is also a state champion wrestler and judoka. So this dude got some grappling chops, but Nick Maximov, I think he has the skill set to be able to negate some of that grappling, keep the fight on the feet. I just don't know if he's going to be able to win the war of, you know what I mean, like outgun Punahele Soriano. I think there's very few people in the world that can outgun Punahele Soriano. How do you see this matchup playing out? Is this something that Maximov says, I'm going to take this big boy to the ground the same way I took that heavyweight to the ground, and I'm going to negate that offense? Do you see him playing that Brendan Allen game? How do you see this one playing out visually in your head?
Man, I see Maximov playing the ground game, man. I think he goes with what he's best at, gets on the inside, gets a trip, gets a takedown, and keeps the muscle of Punahele Soriano down. That's the biggest thing I have for Puna, man. First note, all capital letters, is the word heavy leather, because that's all you're going to be seeing Punahele Soriano throw. And that's what Brandon Allen was able to see, man. He saw those big shots coming, so he was able to duck under, even though he was circling to arguably the wrong side. He was able to duck under, see those punches coming, and then work from there. And I think if Maximov does the same thing, he sees those big shots coming, he's able to avoid them, get the takedown, negate the strength that Punahele Soriano has, even though he's a very, very good wrestler. And like you said, a judoka, this dude, he's fallen in love with his hands. Even though he does have a very good gas tank for as much muscle as he has, I think Nick Maximov will have the better of the gas tank in this one, where he's able to actually get things going, work the ground pressure, keep it where the fight he wants to be. And I love the fact that Maximov, he has this very nice overhand left. He'll feign a shot and then throw that overhand left. And even if he misses the overhand left, then he actually goes for a second shot, and that's where he can get the takedown. I think Punahele has more power, but I think Maximov is a little bit more crafty, if that makes sense. He sees a little bit more. He can get things going a little bit differently in a kind of an unassuming way or in an awkward way that most people don't see. That's where I think Maximov's greatness lies, in those weird transition, in those takedowns, that if he's able to hold him down, I think Maximov has a good shot on this one, man. What do you think?
Well, I like what you're saying there, and I think it's pretty easy on paper to be like, yeah, Maximov is just going to take him down, which is one of those things where, folks, I am kind of leaning towards Maximov in this fight. I think it's easy to say, but both of these fighters have 100% takedown defense. So it's another one of those where it's like, who gets the first takedown? Arguably, I think logically it says Maximov probably gets the first takedown because Soriano is going to be trying to throw bombs at this dude's head. But at the same time, you just never know. You can never predict these things. Maximov does have a 4-inch reach advantage, so maybe he does try to box with him a little bit. Maximov did do a lot of his training at Wildcard Gym. I think Freddie Roach is the one that's like overlooking Wildcard Gym. It's like some of the people go over there to Wildcard to get some of the best boxing in the world. I mean, Pacquiao, all that good stuff, right? So this should be a very fun, very interesting fight. But at the end of the day on this one, man, this is a brute strength knockout artist versus a crafty, intelligent fighter in Nick Maximov. And Soriano is also an intelligent fighter, don't get me wrong. But that's all you heard DC say on the commentary when he's fighting is like, Soriano's loading up on his shots. He needs to throw straight punches, da-da-da-da-da. So you just don't want to put yourself in a situation where it's rinse, wash, repeat. People got the game plan against you. You got to be able to evolve a little bit, right? However, I do like the plus money up 170 for Nick Maximov. So, folks, that's where I'm going. Give me the plus money. Give me the live dog here. And when it comes down to the over and under, which on this fight is 1.5 rounds, because people are probably expecting a submission, a knockout, something crazy, I'm going to go over once again on this one, man. I just think that Soriano is a tough man to put out, brother. I mean, Brandon Allen was giving him everything he got, and Soriano didn't look not one bit phased, to be honest with you. You know what I'm saying? So, who do you got in this one, AJ? Over and under, all that good stuff.
Man, I like where your head's at, Derick, but I'm actually rocking with the favorite on this one, man. I'm going Puna, and I'm actually going KO round 2. I've been rocking with the KOs a lot on this matchmaking card or on this card going forward, and I'm sticking with it. The only thing I really like Maximov's style. The only thing I don't like about it is he'll stand in that mirror and walk you down. Where you do that against Punahele Soriano, man, this dude's leather's coming fast. It's coming heavy. I think just Punahele is going to be able to get that KO. I could be wrong, but I'm rocking with the, what'd you say the under was?
The under is 1.5 rounds.
Oh, okay. So I'm rocking with the over. I'm going KO round 2 for Punahele Soriano. I just think he has better hands, and if he's able to stop the takedowns, do a little bit more calculative of a fight where you have Maximov staying in front of you, walking you down, just a recipe for disaster. Unless Maximov can get the takedown, then I see that going a different way, but I'm rocking with Punahele Soriano, KO round 2.
All right, brother. Well, you said you could be wrong, but, brother, you could also be right. You know what I'm saying? So it's like 50-50 shots. So when you got bombs in your hands like that, man, listen, there's no guarantees in this fight game. I'll just say that, man. And now the time we've been waiting for, the moment we've been waiting for, the Joker, number 6 ranked Jack Hermansson is fighting number 7th ranked Sean Strickland. This is going to be a fun fight, AJ, and it's interesting to see Strickland on the B side in this because it feels like he has all the hype, all the momentum. He is the favorite. He's a minus 210 favorite with a plus 175 comeback for the Joker. This is arguably striker wrestler versus grappler, right? You know what I mean? However, Sean Strickland is a much better grappler than he is a wrestler, believe it or not. And Jack Hermansson is a much better grappler than he is a wrestler as well. So it's going to be interesting because on the feet, I think it's pretty clear as day. Sean Strickland has all the volume, the straight shots, the pressure, the tenacity. But Jack Hermansson has that in-and-out style that Dominic Cruz likes to call it in-and-out, but some people would refer to it as herky-jerky style, you know what I mean? He's constantly moving, heavy calf kicks, right? Big bombs over the top, jumping in for the, go for a heel hook like he did on Kelvin Gastelum last of them. You know what I mean? He's an incredible grappler, and he got to where he is in the middleweight division for a reason. He is 9-4 in the UFC, currently on a 1-fight win streak, and he actually, believe it or not, I was watching him on the MMA Hour. He told Ariel Helwani that he had COVID pretty bad, and he was suffering from the lingering effects of that when he fought Edmund Shabazian. So he wasn't even at 100%, and he still got a big UD win on Shabazian where he just grinded it out. But AJ, man, I don't want to fall victim to hype. I think that's something that's a little too easy to do, and I want to take a perspective, a retrospective to a degree, take a step back. Are we discounting Jack Hermansson? Are we just saying, oh, Sean Strickland just going to walk him down, throw punches, and just get the big win? Or is Jack Hermansson a much more dangerous fighter than we're giving him credit for right now in this matchup?
Man, much more dangerous fighter than anybody's giving credit for. There was a time, maybe I want to say 6 months, maybe a year ago, where Jack Hermansson, where the Joker was on top, bro. Everybody was talking about the Joker. This dude's dangerous. He can get you in all kinds of crazy things. It might have been before that Kelvin Gastelum fight. But either way, man, Jack Hermansson is still very, very dangerous out there wherever he wants to get it done, whether it's on the feet, whether it's on the ground. This dude can get it done, man. He's very talented and like you said, herky-jerky a little bit, but that leads a little bit more towards his pro, where he doesn't, he's not in the places where you'd expect him to be when you're throwing those shots. So when those 1s and 2s down the pipe aren't working for Sean Strickland, he's going to be off to the side just a little bit, not getting tagged up, doing something a little different that Sean isn't really expected to see. Jack Hermansson, that is a very live dog on this fight, man. Don't count him out. I feel like a lot of people, we've fallen in love with that new shiny toy, that new one, because that Uriah Hall fight that Sean Strickland had was very impressive. And I don't think we're going to see that same kind of style of fight. Maybe from Sean Strickland we will, but I don't think Jack Hermansson is going to be there to be hit, to be seeing the same kind of things, man. I think he's going to work for those takedowns, work for that awkward style that he has, maybe land some big bombs, but really go for a whole plethora of the entire fight game, man. He's not going to stick to one specific style or the other. I think it's going to be one of those washing machine style fights that we've been talking about. What you think, Derick?
Yeah, I agree with you to a degree, but at the same time, man, it just makes me think back to a welterweight matchup that Sean Strickland had against Court McGee. And Court McGee is one of the best takedown artists in the game, right? He's one of the toughest dudes, nonstop pressure walking forward. And I don't think he was able to secure not one takedown on Strickland. And if he was, Strickland was able to get right back up to his feet. So that kind of makes it fills your opponent with doubt in their head, right? They're like, damn, every time I'm wasting all this energy trying to get the takedown, I can't get the takedown. I'm being relentless with it. He keeps getting back up. He keeps peppering me with these shots. That's the key right there. I think that Sean Strickland can win this fight on points with the volume, man. That's the name of his game. Constant jab, right cross, right hook, just in your face, all that. However, when you're walking forward the whole time, it's easy to use that momentum and boom, take you down right there, right? So Strickland's going to be careful, but he also has that style where he's sitting there, lots of feints, really, really good defense. He's doing a lot of this, right? And as soon as that shot comes in, steps right back, then he comes back in. He's not just like that flat-footed. He is flat-footed, but he's not good. He's not that just like constant forward, no movement backwards. Like he's kind of in and out his own way. It's like a distinct Strickland way. So on terms of the feet, man, I got to give the edge to Strickland, 100% on this one. I think Hermansson has the power advantage with the big bombs, but in terms of just like the nonstop pressure, nonstop pace that he puts on him, he kills people that way, digs the body shots. It's beautiful. One thing we need to worry about, and Strickland does a good job of checking kicks, but Hermansson has heavy calf kicks, right? And I think that if Hermansson can beat up the legs of a Strickland, try to get him to lose a little bit of that mobility, and then start to wrestle, and then start to use his grappling, look for a submission, it could be dangerous. However, in 27 career fights, Sean Strickland has never been submitted. He's only been knocked out once, and that came at the hands of Dos Santos, Zaleski. There we go, Zaleski Dos Santos. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Remember that spinning? It was like a spinning wheel kick or something like that, a crazy knockout. That's the only time that Strickland has been put down like that. And at middleweight, I believe the man is undefeated. He's on either 18 or 19 wins at middleweight in his career, brother. So how does Jack Hermansson win this fight if he does win the fight? Like, does it have to be through the grappling? Can we see a knockout? Can he win on points? Like, how do you see this taking place? It's 5 rounds. It's a lot of rounds.
It's 5 rounds. I don't necessarily think he can win on points, but if he avoids the dogfight, man, if he avoids, because that's what Sean Strickland wants, man. Sean Strickland wants blood, guts, and glory, and he said it a lot in his pre-fight presser. That's he's in there for a war. If Hermansson can avoid the war, keep either in, all the way in on those takedowns, or stay on the outside, use those calf kicks, work some different stuff we haven't really seen. I see him more on the inside, to be honest with you. But there's a couple different ways where he can avoid that war. If Hermansson's able to avoid the war and get something sticky, get a submission, or at least get Sean Strickland in a place to where he's on the ground, kind of feeling something different, then he can work for more of a control kind of style win. I just don't see him winning on points on the feet. If this is a point, a battle on the feet, leaning a lot more towards Sean Strickland. But Hermansson can get things done where he's actually working his own style, where he's, on the inside, getting things done and then bounces out, maintaining distance. Be a little bit harder for him. The easier path is towards that, get on the inside and wrestle things out, get the ground pound, get the control aspect going. Because in the UFC, they do favor control a lot heavier. So I see that's a little more direct path for Hermansson on this one. What do you think, Derick? Which way do you see it going?
Well, I think that Jack Hermansson, he has to get the job done in the grappling, brother. I think that's the only way he can get the nod in this one, besides a big, heavy knockout shot that just comes out of nowhere. But I think that Sean Strickland has a little something in his back pocket that people aren't going to be expecting. Against Uriah Hall, he took Uriah Hall down 4 times. You know what I mean? Easy. Uriah Hall's a striker. That's not too much of a surprise, right? However, it gets interesting when we start looking at the stats. So I'm going to look at UFC stats right here, and if we look at the Brendan Allen fight, Sean Strickland took him down once, right? We scroll down a little bit more. Look at that Court McGee fight. He took him down 3 times for Court McGee. You look at the Kamaru Usman fight. Kamaru Usman took him down twice. That's the last person to be able to take Sean Strickland down, and that was in 2017, brother. That was a long time ago, you know what I'm saying? So none of these dudes have been able to take him down. He's fought, some killers, man. Uriah Hall, Christoph Jocko, Brendan Allen, Jack Marshman, Nordine Taleb. Like I said, the Dos Santos fight, he got knocked out right there. Court McGee, Usman. And then before that, he got the win over Tom Breeze. Got taken down a bunch by Alex Garcia, but you know what I mean? He got lost against Ponzinibbio. He's fought some of the best to do it. But so that's ultimately what I'm saying. I don't know, man. It's going to be tough. And let's not do a discredit, man, because we got to play both sides of the coin here. Let's look at Jack Hermansson's record. He gets the win over Shabazian, where he took him down 3 times. He took down Vettori twice, ended up still losing that fight. He got taken down by Kelvin. He got taken down by Kelvin Gastelum. Did he? No, he didn't. He heel hooked Kevin Gastelum and just ended the night, right?
That's how I remember it.
Yeah, okay. All right, UFC stats. It might be a little gimmicky over here. I don't know. Got the takedown on Cannonier, which is impressive. Takedown on Jacare, 3 of them. 1 on Branch. The dude loves to take people down. He has taken down almost every single fight. So let's see, man. Let's see what happens. Ultimately, AJ, when it comes down to it, takedown defense for Sean Strickland is about 82%, 75% for Jack Hermansson. So, if you had to do like a prop bet, right? Who gets the first takedown? Would you put that prop bet on Hermansson?
Ooh, man, I'd actually probably go. Yeah. That's a hard question, but I go Hermansson. Yeah.
And the only reason is because Sean Strickland could be like, I'm just trying to prove a point. I'm just going to take you down just cause. You know what I mean? Because he has really good his jiu-jitsu is legitimate. Sean Strickland is no slouch when it comes to jiu-jitsu. He does little grappling matches on the side himself. But I'm telling you, man, there's a couple of fights where I've seen him try to level change a little bit and try to be like, I'm going to take this fight to the ground. And then he ultimately is like, never mind. I'll just stick to the feet. You know what I mean? But he has that in the back pocket, brother. So the way that I'm looking at this, 11 knockouts for Hermansson, 10 knockouts for Strickland. Strickland is clearly more of a decision fighter. He has 10 knockouts, 10 decisions, 4 submissions. But for Hermansson, 11 knockouts, 6 submissions, 5 decisions. When it comes down to this, they're really identical on paper, man. 6'1" for a piece, 77-inch reach for Hermansson, 76 for Sean Strickland. AJ, who gets the job done? And then after that, I'm going to ask you what this means in terms of implications for the division. But who gets the job done? How do they do it? The over and under on this one, believe it or not, man, is 4.5 rounds. So odds makers probably think this is going to a decision. So who do you have?
Yeah, I'm with the odds makers on this one, Derick. I think it's going towards a decision, and I'm actually rocking with Sean Strickland on this one. Okay. I just think he has that point style where he's going to be able to see things coming, maybe get taken down once. I doubt it, though. I think he's going to stay on the feet, looking for that blood and guts finish. Sean Strickland's riding that momentum, too. I'm rocking with him for the decision. What about you?
I see a 5-round banger right here, brother, back and forth. I think they trade rounds. I don't think it's going to be a domination by either opponent. But I gotta go with Sean Strickland myself over Sean Strickland, unanimous decision. He's on a roll, brother. I just think the one X factor on here that can squeak out a win, even if he does get taken down a bunch and it manages to get back up to his feet, is he's most likely going to outpoint Hermansson in terms of strikes. That's really the big key right there. He's just nonstop pressure, nonstop throwing, and it's hard to wrestle forward when you're constantly on your back foot. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be interesting to see. Is it going to be Strickland doing this to Hermansson the whole time, or is it going to be, a little bit of, back and forth, ebb and flow, in and out, herky-jerky for both of these guys? It'll be fun, man. This is going to be a really, really high-stakes matchup in the middleweight division. Like I said, the winner is most likely moving into the top 5, most likely going to be one of the next title challengers for Kamaru Usman in that welterweight belt. If Chimaev doesn't come up to 185 and is like, nah, I'm taking the belt. Because Jack Hermansson did fight Chimaev in a freestyle wrestling bout and just got absolutely destroyed. However, to his credit, Hermansson is not a freestyle wrestler. He is a grappler. So, he kind of stepped into, it's like saying like, you're a baseball player, but you're like, all right, brother, let's go play a little bit of what's that game? Pickleball, you know what I mean? It's similar, but it's not really the same, you know what I'm saying? It's like stepping into a different category. Either way, AJ, those are the picks, my man. I mean, listen, we got some pretty similar picks on that. We do disagree on the Maximov-Soriano fight, but other than that, man, it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. And just for the sake of doing this, AJ, I just wanted to take a look real fast and look at the favorites and then ultimately see how many underdogs did we take, how many favorites did we take. So we took the favorite in Sean Strickland. You took the favorite in Soriano. I took the underdog in Maximov. Both took the favorite in Rakhmonov, took the favorite in Allen, took the favorite in Gore, and took the favorite in Erosa. So we're chalky over here this week, folks, but sometimes you are the favorite for a reason. Odds makers aren't going to make you a favorite just so they can lose money on purpose. That's not going to happen, you know what I mean? So that's the main card picks, folks. I hope you liked it, but AJ, we got to do a little piece of business before fight of the night because we forgot to do this in the beginning. So I'm going to jump back to the intro and look at this poster. You remember that one, man? We've been talking about it. Let's take a look. All right, brother. So real quick, then we'll move on to fighter of the night. Just give me a poster score here and describe what you're seeing to the people. This one's looking a little, I don't even know how you would describe it. A little rustic, a little bit, you know what I mean? It looks like it was like as if they got paintbrushes, like they painted this one. Hermansson looking mean. Strickland looking like he got those death eyes right there. He about to go kill somebody, you know what I mean? Not too far off of the type of individual that he portrays himself to be. But beautiful blue, I think that's red, a reddish orange kind of trickling in. Give me your take, man. 1 to 10. What do you got?
I like this one, man. I'm going right off the bat. I'm going a 7. I like this one. It's up high. I don't remember what I ranked the first one. I think I ranked that an 8, maybe a 9 because it was really good. But this one's right up there with it, man. I like the blue in the back, the white. It looks good. You got Sean Strickland looking like a demon. Hermansson coming out ready to fight. Both had the 6-pack rocking. I also really like the paint style that you're talking about, where it looks like this was drawn. It was cool. I like this one a lot, man. What about you?
All right, brother. So I will say that the white in the background, I don't know if it's letters. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it says. So I think it's just there just for I don't know why it's there. However, I still think it looks pretty cool, brother. And I think that the uniqueness of the poster, not the cut and dry, regular ass poster that you're getting for every single fight. Like when they did Dustin Poirier versus Conor McGregor #3, it was like one of the worst posters I've seen ever for such a hyped up matchup. I like this poster. I'm going to go a solid 8 on this one, brother. So you go 7, I go 8. I just wanted to put that out there for the poster score. And now, AJ, let's talk about the fight of the night. So let me put you back up on the screen, brother. Boom. So we got a lot to choose from, my man. Main card is over. Now we're just thinking fight of the night, brother. So I'm gonna have you start off. Who do you have for your pick of fight of the night for UFC Vegas 47?
Woo! I think the easy pick is the main fight, Hermansson versus Strickland, but I'm not going there, man. I'm going all the way down. There's actually a lot I'm trying to choose from. Man, I think it's going to be that Julian Erosa versus Steven Peterson fight. I think that's going to be the one that's coming up. It's going to be a very fast pace, a lot of fun going forth, back and forth. Erosa might get the KO, but I think it's going to be a fun fight either way. What do you think?
All right, brother. I mean, look at all of these banging fights. Look at all of them. You know what I'm saying? There's so many good ones here, but I think that the fight of the night, in my opinion, is going to be Bryan Battle versus Tresean Gore, the Ultimate Fighter Championship right here, brother. I think it's going to be a little bit of bad blood, and not bad blood like they don't like each other, but I think that there's a little heat to this, man. You know what I'm saying? They got the history. They shared time in that Ultimate Fighter house. Tresean Gore, though he seems to be a very respectful dude, is probably like, brother, I'm going to come out and I'm going to take your head off. Bryan Battle is like, listen, brother, I am the champion. And I'm going to show you why I was truly the champion, why I was the underdog from the beginning, but I was the best to do it. I think it's going to be a very, very fun fight. That's fight of the night for you folks. Listen, drop a like, subscribe, all the good stuff. Rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify if you're feeling frisky, if you're feeling game. And folks, you know, the one thing that you got to do, because I've been showcasing it a little bit, man, is head over to our website, BloodyWaterPodcast.com. There you can head over to the merch merch tab and you will find our featured products. You got crew necks, we got hoodies. Come on, what are we talking about? You know what I'm saying? We got mugs. I showed you the mug that I was rocking earlier, the martial arts tee. Scroll down a little bit, we got the new designs, right? We got the white hoodie with the BWP on it on the back. We got the crew neck with the BWP, another mug. We got the whole 9 crop talks. Come on, brother, listen. Use code BWP10 for 10% off all merch at checkout, folks. If you haven't gotten your joint yet, what are you waiting for? I don't know at this point. Follow us on Instagram at Bloody Water Podcast, on Twitter at Bloody Water Pod. AJ, brother, you got any last words for the people before we get out of here?
Folks, you see how hard we're working. You see the grinding that we're putting in, week out, constantly here. And it wouldn't be that way if it wasn't for y'all. So please leave a like, hit us in the comments. Let us know who you picking in these fights too, man. I see a lot of my friends on Instagram shouting it out, saying they're going X, Y, and Z. Let us know what you think in the comments. And also share this video with your friends. It really does help out a ton. We'll keep growing. We'll keep grinding. We'll be here again next week, consistently 2 times a week. You know where to find us. But Derick said it best, man. Go get your merch. Hit us with the 5 stars on the Apple Podcast, the Spotify, wherever you listen. Let the people know that you like us so we can get that bigger audience growing, and we appreciate all the love.
Absolutely. And if you do get your merch, take a picture, put it on Instagram and tag us on Instagram at Bloody Water Podcast. Why not? Share it. Go show the people that you rocking. You know what I'm saying? Listen, I got the all independent gear on right now. We got the Bloody Water Podcast hoodie. I got the Free Thinker Club hat. Come on, this is the throwback from the Portland days. You know what time it is, folks. But that is it for us. We will be back here on Monday, 8 a.m. Monday and Friday, 12 p.m. The short clips drop on our YouTube channel, but also head over to our website. You get the same thing. Folks, that is it for us. We'll do it again. Until next time. Peace.